Hello and welcome on Watches TV. Today we have quite a special video to share with you because this man we met many years ago back in Basel World, where he was still a kind of what we called a young collector, 17-year-old young collector, and we'll do a little throwback of course for you guys. And we're catching up with him today, but of course in the meantime, and we've seen each other many times, and but we want to know a little bit more about your collector journey, how things have evolved since then.
Obviously, my tastes have changed, but taste changes with knowledge. So with knowledge on horology and watchmaking, I'm still buying, going into the independence, and but with today, with what we have, more or less during the 80s and 90s of independence, when they aren't as popular as today. Yeah. You know, I think both of us can agree, even when the first time I met you, the watch collecting circle and the industry has changed quite a lot, honestly. And in the recent past 2 to 3 years, the collecting circle have become more knowledgeable. And I dare say during a time where brands were competing of not just shooting out novelties, but when they were trying to compete and make great high complication watches, and not necessarily expensive. Like for example, the IWCs that we have there, during a time where he passed away in 2001, the great Günther Blumlein and Master Kurt Klaus was still around, built the like a completely new in-house perpetual calendar module, but with the concept of making it first of all reliable, easy to service, and affordable, with many variants over there. Then we've also got like stuff like from Blancpain during a time where Mr. Jean-Claude Biver and Jacques Piguet or Frédéric Piguet revived, though not on the affordable side back then, without the mindset of making it affordable, but at the same time, in today's market, they offer such brilliant value. And then of course we have Daniel Roth and Gerard Genta, which is, to be honest, well before COVID, completely forgotten, disregarded almost, but today, very high, well regarded, and this is really good. You know, the collecting circle is getting more and more knowledgeable on them, realizing that there's so many great watches out there that may not have such a prestigious brand name, shall we say, like Rolex and Patek. Honestly, like when anyone has heard of it, but not everyone knows about the history of IWC, of the man behind the Frank Wooler brand, Mr. Frank Wooler himself, Gerard Genta, and the contributions apart from him designing the Royal Oak and the Nautilus, so many other things, like and his head watchmaker, Pierre-Michel Gollet.
Now you've become quite an expert, I would say. What really drove you to these type of brands?
Not everyone gets to have great access to this knowledge. Like I met you when I was 17, and I met great people like you that were willing to share such incredible stories. So the history and the story behind these masters, regardless of whether or not they are hyped today or popular, is the same, is a fact. Like, for example, the great Daniel Roth, like he was the man who, during a time where there were less than 100 or 200 tourbillon watches, created the Laminia 387 tourbillon caliber. And at the time, the only brand that was serially producing a tourbillon wristwatch was AP, for the one that was designed by Jacqueline, who designed the 5548 perpetual calendar for Audemars Piguet, and which is here actually. And this is the Laminia caliber, which have someone been modified and improved upon, that Breguet still uses for their tourbillon watches. Mm-hmm. And many collectors, well, either big collectors or whatever, but many collectors in the collecting circle today have said that the tourbillon Daniel Roth and the Breguet tourbillon by Daniel Roth is the foundation for many tourbillon wristwatches. I mean, the very same movement powered the first Vacheron Constantin tourbillon wristwatch, the 30050. So stuff like this is fact. And even from back then, when I knew about these stories and these people and the struggles they went through, like today in the market for independent watchmakers, we can be very frank, it's much easier for them with social media and with how the collecting circle is today for independent watchmakers, you know. It's much easier, but for back then, I mean, the struggle that Daniel Roth went through, the struggle that Gerard Genta went through, is a very painful story. And being able to like see the watch in person, which is why we even did this today in the first place, really changes the aspect. So like even from a young age, when I was 18 or 19, when nobody wanted Daniel Roth, but they were such amazing watches, and the only reason why the prices were like for nothing and people didn't want them was because simply the fact that no one knew who he was until COVID, when his story was out there. And answering a question of why people got into it now is because, yeah, people realized that, hey, there's this man named Daniel Roth that I've never heard about, but wow, he contributed so much, especially with Gergenta. Everyone knows that he designed the Royal Oak and the Nautilus, and I don't know how to pronounce that for IW, the Inge something. Ingenieur for IWC, thank you. And I mean the Pasha for Cartier, and the Bulgari, many things, you know, but they, for such a long period of time, they disregarded his watches. You know, like the 3019, his most iconic shape, the octagonal, which later rebranded to the Success. His most iconic complication, the perpetual calendar minute repeater, and of course the behemoth Grand Sonnery tourbillon with perpetual calendar, which at the time, well, even now, very pricey, and superb high-end watchmaking, thanks to his head watchmaker, Pierre-Michel Gollet. And I'm willing to bet that not many people know about his head watchmaker, Pierre-Michel Gollet. Maybe until recently, with the revival of Gergenta and LVMH pushing Pierre-Michel's name out, you know, because he was responsible for the high-end watchmaking of Gergenta. So, yeah, like the one key thing is knowledge, and of course being able to read more about them.
But do you think that it could be also kind of, unfortunately now it could be seen like a new possibility of, you know, just playing a little bit with the prices and seeing this kind of an investment opportunity? I know you're doing this very sincerely, and because you've started many years ago and things like that. But is there kind of a risk of that we're seeing again things happening there because it's just kind of an unexplored territory, unexposed territory?
For sure, you 100%. Like, of course, with the rise of these neo vintage Gergenta, a lot of dealers are now hunting for them and trying to find a good deal. But for me, I don't really care. Yeah. Honestly, it's because like I love the watch for what it is. Yeah. I don't care what the dial says on it. Like, yeah, it says Daniel Roth. I love it because Mr. Daniel Roth's story from when he started from Breguet, he and François Baudet, and also with the help of Gergenta, kind of solidified the Breguet DNA of the coin-fluted case and the straight lugs, which to this very day, Breguet is known for. With Gergenta, you know, the iconic pieces that he made, like for example with this watch and this Pasha, they actually share the same movement because Pierre-Michel Gollet, Genta SA, supplied the movements to Cartier. I just love these stories, and honestly, they're really great quality watches. So, I mean, yeah, there will be people that will try to make money from it.
How do you see now the fact that both brands that you like in Roth and Genta are being revived? Is it an homage? Is it an opportunity? What do you think about that?
In Gergenta's case, it's too early to say much, in my opinion. However, being in contact with Miss Alexia Genta, the daughter of Gergenta, she has said, in her own words, complete faith on Joanno and LVMH on the revival of Gergenta. So if she has faith, I have faith. I'll just wait to see what happens with the brand. For Daniel Roth's case, for me, it's also still quite early because they haven't produced the actual prototype yet. It's all renders. In terms of like remembrance in a way, these two names, not brands, these two names were disregarded for so long, forgotten by many even. And is it a coincidence that now with these things going up that they revived? Sure, but it's a win-win situation in my opinion, because at the end of the day, Daniel Roth is at quite an old age, and Gergenta was forgotten for a period of time. That's why Evelyn Genta even did the Gergenta Heritage, because she realized that my husband's work was so significant, but his name was solely forgotten. So in my opinion, like, yeah, completely positive, completely superb that they're reviving it just to keep the name alive for like my generation, the next generation, and the generation after. Because these two names are so important in watchmaking, it would be such a shame. It broke my heart that no one knew Daniel Roth, and even people disregarded the high complication pieces from Gergenta. And I'm so happy that they're getting a lot of attention now, and not because people want to buy them, but people want to learn about them. Like, wow, this is something that I never knew. I need to learn about him, whether I can afford it or not, whether I want to buy it or not. you know.
Well, great. I mean, it was really nice to catch up with you, and we could definitely feel some genuine passion behind all that you're doing.
And it all started from you. You know the story, like, fun fact, when I was 16 and couldn't even afford to buy a 7 Friday, I was researching about watches, didn't know anything about watches, only knew about like 5, Richard Mille, AP, Patek, Rolex, and Hublot. And I watched your first video when you had short hair, didn't wear glasses. So, all started from you. All this is because from your passion. True passion will always beat market manipulation or pricing or whatever, you know. And there's just so many great watches out there that haven't been discovered.
So you see, there's positive in there and options for people to get their hands on some really cool watches at a rather affordable price and get some kind piece of history on your wrist, you know, pretty nice. All right, so, well, thank you so much, Andre. It was really nice.
No problem.
And
thank you
see you
for coming,
soon.
my friend.
Yeah,
So
well,
great to see you again after so long.
so we'll have to go finish this with a big Viva watchmaking, cool watchmaking. See you guys. Bye.